Welcome to Billionaire Investment, where we decode bold investments and the quiet power plays reshaping our world. Today, our story takes you to Afghanistan, a land long synonymous with war and extremism, but now it's leaving the world stunned. From insurgents to nation builders, the Taliban are draping themselves in the role of architects, launching mega projects that could redraw the map of Central and South Asia. What exactly are they building? Why is it dangerous? And who's really bankrolling these multi-billion-dollar ventures? Let's dive into the silent strategy rising in plain sight right now. This isn't a typical irrigation canal. Stretching 115 kilometers long and wider than the famed California aqueduct, the Kosh Tepa Canal is engineered to pull water directly from the Amu Darya, the lifeline shared by multiple Central Asian nations. The total price tag is estimated at $684 million, with the Taliban themselves putting in an additional $100 million, a signal of how aggressively they're moving. Once completed, Kosh Tepa could divert 20% of the Amu Darya's flow, enough to turn 550,000 hectares of desert into fertile farmland, roughly the size of the entire state of Delaware. If it works, Afghanistan's agricultural land could expand by a third, pushing the country towards something it hasn't dared to imagine in decades of war: food self-sufficiency. But this is also a water bomb waiting to go off. The Amu Darya doesn't belong to Afghanistan alone. Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan depend on it to feed their vast cotton and wheat belts. The Taliban's message is almost blunt. This is our share and we're taking it, no matter who objects. Analysts warn that even a few percentage points drop in river levels could escalate tensions into the biggest water conflict Central Asia has seen in decades. Kosh Tepa isn't just a canal. It's a strategic strike on water resources, a soft weapon powerful enough to rebalance the region's power dynamics. If Kosh Tepa is a punch at the water supply, the wave of hydroelectric dams across Afghanistan is the Taliban's power shield. Across this mountainous country, from the Helmand River to smaller eastern tributaries, construction sites for dams are humming. The centerpiece is the Bakshabad Dam on the Farah River, alongside dozens of medium and small projects breaking ground. The goal is clear: generate domestic electricity and cut reliance on imports, which currently cover more than 70% of Afghanistan's energy needs. But power generation is only half the story. With these dams, the Taliban gain leverage over the region's water valves. The Helmand flows into Iran. The Amu Darya sustains Uzbekistan and Turkmenistan. Every cubic meter held back on the Afghan side can leave millions of hectares of cotton and wheat across the border running dry. The message couldn't be clearer. We control the water, and we have the right to negotiate. This isn't just water, it's diplomatic leverage, stronger than any treaty. From deserts to megadams, the Taliban are turning water, something seemingly gentle, into a geopolitical weapon capable of shifting the balance of power across Central and South Asia. Beyond canals and dams, the Taliban are eyeing something even more audacious: building an entirely new capital. They call it Kabul New City, a modern metropolis next to old Kabul, an attempt to erase decades of war-scarred imagery and replace it with a future-forward skyline. The project spans 722 square kilometers, nearly 1.5 times the size of New York City, designed to house between 1.1 and 3 million people. Plans include 250,000 housing units, dozens of new administrative districts, a financial and commercial core, universities, international hospitals, green parks, and modern transit. Several zones once abandoned were restarted in 2023, including a $700 million first phase package. The Taliban frame it as proof: Afghanistan can do more than fight. We can build the future. The city aims to relieve today's Kabul, built for 1 million but now crammed with over 4.5 million residents. It's also a diplomatic calling card, an urban proof of concept meant to attract capital from the Middle East, China, and even the West. If completed, Kabul New City would outsize many regional capitals like Uzbekistan's Tashkent or Tajikistan's Dushanbe, and rival the smart cities rising across the Middle East. But the 30-year timeline raises a hard question: can an unrecognized, sanction-hit government sustain a project of this magnitude to the finish line? If water is the weapon and a new city is the symbol, then geography is the Taliban's trump card. Afghanistan sits at the crossroads of Central Asia, South Asia, Asia, and the Middle East, where every major trade artery wants to pass. And the Taliban are turning that position into both revenue and leverage. In May 2025, China, Pakistan, and the Taliban agreed to expand the $60 billion China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, CPEC. The route connects Western China to turning Afghanistan into the fastest north-south trade spine in the region. Next comes the Tapai Pipeline, 1,821 kilometers long, valued at $10 billion, designed to move 33 billion cubic meters of natural gas each year from Turkmenistan through Afghanistan to Pakistan and India. Afghanistan alone could earn roughly $1 billion annually in transit fees, turning wind-scoured mountain ranges into a steady source of foreign currency. It's not just goods and gas. The Taliban also want to be a power transit hub. The $1.2 billion Casa 1000 project will send hydropower from Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan down to Pakistan, with Afghanistan taking 300 megawatts for domestic use and charging transmission fees on the rest. From railways and gas lines to cross-border power grids, the Taliban are sending a message that couldn't be more direct. You may not recognize our government, but you can't ignore our geography. They understand that in geopolitics, geography is power, and Afghanistan is squeezing every advantage from its location. By turning themselves into a continental crossroads, the Taliban aren't just collecting tolls. They're binding major powers, from China to India, into a network where Afghanistan is the irreplaceable link. If canals and railways are the projects you can see, then beneath Afghanistan's mountains lies a hidden treasure, the resource the world craves: lithium, copper, and rare earths. Geological surveys estimate Afghanistan holds mineral wealth worth trillions of dollars, from white gold lithium for EV batteries to rare earths used in smartphones and military hardware. In an era of clean energy and AI, these inputs are as valuable as the oil of the 21st century. No surprise, China moved early. The Mes Aynek copper deposit, about 40 kilometers from Kabul, has been under Chinese concession for over 15 years. Now the Taliban are formally pledging security to restart extraction in exchange for infrastructure investment and technology transfer. Mining has become the financial engine for the entire rebuild. In 2022 alone, mine-related taxes made up the bulk of the Taliban's $1.54 billion in state revenue, remarkable for a country that once relied on foreign aid. That money is being recycled into infrastructure, rail, dams, roads, creating a closed loop. Minerals, revenue, infrastructure, more extraction, bigger revenue. With every ton of copper and every kilogram of lithium leaving the ground, the Taliban aren't just earning hard currency, they're buying political leverage. Great powers, from China to the West, will have to negotiate if they want access to the treasure. From deep underground, the Taliban have found a weapon quieter than guns, but just as potent: strategic minerals, resources that can bankroll projects and shape the country's future power. That leaves the world's biggest question: where is the money coming from? Under sanctions, with foreign assets frozen, and Western aid largely cut off, yet billion-dollar projects are rising across Afghanistan. Analysts point to three notable cash streams. Mining. Mine taxes delivered $1.54 billion in 2022, forming the bulk of state revenue. Domestic taxes and fees. The Taliban tightened collections at border trade, transport, and even relief shipments. Quiet regional backing. Neighboring countries and certain Gulf private funds are suspected of supplying capital or equipment, though few will say so publicly. But money isn't everything. Capability gap. Mega dams, railways, and city-scale builds require high-end engineering, while Afghanistan lacks experienced contractors and technical talent. Smoldering corruption. Despite anti-graft rhetoric, watchdogs warn under-the-table kickbacks persist. Water conflicts. Canals and dams threaten Iran's, Uzbekistan's, and Turkmenistan's supplies, potential triggers for regional disputes. To many governments and human rights groups, these mega projects aren't just infrastructure, they're political theater. Critics argue the Taliban are using cranes and concrete to mask rights violations, especially harsh policies toward women and girls. Western governments say they won't buy the development narrative without tangible human rights improvements. Wherever the cash originates, one reality is hard to deny. Capital is feeding the Taliban's mega projects, turning Afghanistan into a pivotal piece on the geopolitical chessboard. But it comes with heavy questions about sustainability, transparency, and the freedoms being traded away. From a symbol of war, the Taliban are sketching themselves as architects of a new Afghanistan. Is this a reconstruction miracle or a power gamble wrapped in concrete, steel, and flashy groundbreakings? Tell us what you think. Will these mega projects truly open a new era for Afghanistan, or are they staged performances meant to distract the world? If you found this breakdown useful, hit like, subscribe to Billionaire Investment, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive.